Today in court, two parents accused of killing their 7-month-old child, Emmanuel Haro. That baby boy's body has still not been recovered. And we have new court documents that unveil when law enforcement appears to believe that Emmanuel Haro was killed. Rebecca and Jake Haro, the parents, first allegedly made up a story that went viral, that Rebecca was attacked in the parking lot of a strip mall and young Emmanuel was taken. They made their plea for help on television, but detectives say it was all a lie. And while Jake was seen with detectives who were searching for his son's remains, Rebecca is sticking to her story. How did the story that she told on TV compare to what you heard in jail?
It was the same. She said she was attacked by a kidnapper.
I spoke with the reporter who interviewed Rebecca Haro in jail. What stood out to him is she appears to be standing her ground, saying she is the victim of an assault and that her boy was kidnapped, as the biggest question still remains unanswered, and that is, where is Emmanuel Haro? We're on the case presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. When Rebecca and Jake Haro first appeared on television, in the hours after they claimed that Rebecca, the mom, was attacked and young Emmanuel, just 7 months old, they say, was kidnapped in the parking lot of a strip mall in Yucaipa, California, they appeared as a united front. It's likely, though, they haven't had much contact since their arrest on Friday last week. They're being held at separate facilities in Riverside County, California. This video just in from News Nation. Jake and Rebecca Haro made their first court appearances today in Riverside County, California. They were both in jail jumpsuits. They didn't say anything during the brief court appearance. Bond for the two is now set at $1 million each. They're next expected in court on September 4th, which is Thursday next week. Today, the Riverside County District Attorney officially filed charges against the Haros. We have the criminal complaint which charges Jake and Rebecca with murder and a felony count of filing a false report. In the documents under the murder count, it says that the Haros killed the child, who's only identified as Baby Doe, sometime on or between August 5th and August 14th. Now, the 14th was when Rebecca claimed she was assaulted and Emmanuel was taken from that strip mall parking lot in Yucaipa, California. This is the first time, though, that we have seen law enforcement identify that date of August 5th. This document also has a paragraph talking about how this is a case of alleged domestic violence, and previous acts of domestic violence could be used as evidence against the Haros. Both were arrested on Friday last week. A SWAT team took them into custody from their home. When this story first started, the couple allegedly tried to point the attention away from them, claiming that 7-month-old Emmanuel was kidnapped after Rebecca was punched in the face and assaulted, blacking out in a parking lot in Yucaipa, California. Here's what both of them told KABC TV.
Whoever took our son, please give him back.
Got him out of the car seat and I laid him down and so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember.
The TV station did note that they did not see tears in Rebecca's eyes. Law enforcement said that the story just didn't add up. They couldn't rule out foul play. But then days later, the two were arrested, and this case went from being a missing persons case to a search for remains in a murder investigation. On Sunday, there was a major development. This is a picture of Jake standing in an area off a highway about 22 miles away from his home. He's in a jail jumpsuit. He's standing with detectives. And that really is all we know, or all law enforcement have confirmed. They haven't said why they went to that area, and they haven't said anything about what Jake may have told them since being in custody. But shockingly, on the same day, Rebecca spoke to a reporter named Brian Rocco, a Southern California news group. And Rebecca, from jail, is sticking to her story, saying that she is the victim of an assault and that her young boy was kidnapped, and she wants him to be found and for people to be out searching for him, even if law enforcement and seemingly the rest of the world say that's a lie. Joining us now is Brian Rocco, reporter with the Southern California News Group. You can read his work on pressenterprise.com, including his interview with Rebecca Haro. Brian, thank you for taking the time to be with us. First off, just how did this come about to get in touch with Rebecca Haro from jail?
Well, it's actually a very easy process in Riverside County. Anybody can request a visit with an inmate. All you have to do is call up the jail and provide a booking number and provide your driver's license for them to run a background check on you. And as long as you're not wanted for a crime, you're in. They don't ask if you're a friend or an attorney or a newspaper reporter or anything. The key is actually getting the inmate to talk to you.
Were you surprised when she agreed to do the interview?
No, not really. People have a story to tell, and a lot of times they want to get that story told. And I told her that uh, I was sorry she was in this mess. I mean, no one wants to be in jail on suspicion of murder. And I said I wanted to make sure that her side of the story got told to the public. And I asked her if I could ask her some questions and put her answers in the newspaper.
We've seen from the day of Emmanuel's disappearance, or at least when we learned of this story coming to light, and she's, yeah, I don't know if she was crying with tears coming down her face, but like we've seen the clip on the local television there. How did the story that she told on TV compare to what you heard in jail?
It was the same. She said she was attacked by a kidnapper. I didn't get into a lot of detail because once she said it was a kidnapping, uh, I didn't need to get into the whole account, and you're not allowed to bring in anything to write on and record in jail to begin with, and so tried to keep things simple. And uh, there's only so many things I'm able to remember. Uh, but she, stuck to her guns. I gave her every opportunity to say, well, Jake was behind it, or I'm a victim of domestic violence. Uh, Gave her ample opportunity to change her story. And I mean, I've received a confession before from someone who admitted to shooting two teens in a movie theater. I've also been lied to before. So uh, you never know what you're going to get in these. Uh, and she appeared to cry uh, in the uh, in the interview with me, but again, the tears weren't really flowing. We've all seen the interview that she did with the media shortly after the disappearance, and that was a very controlled crying, I guess I would call it.
One of the big tools that we've been using in covering this case out of California has been truthfinder.com. We typed Jake Haro's name into Truthfinder and his criminal history came up. Truthfinder is a really important tool for us because it helps us understand more about the people who are involved in the stories that we cover. But even if you don't work in true crime, it can be a great tool to give you some peace of mind. It's one of the largest public records search services in the United States. And with the paid subscription service, you can get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And right now you can get 50% off your first month of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/OTC. Was it similar to what you saw in jail? I mean, kind of that hyperventilating almost like kind of way that she talked on the news. Was it kind of a similar, I guess, type of emotion when she was in jail?
No, she was very subdued. She kind of had her head down most of the time. I mean, sort of looking at me, but sort of having her head down. Uh, she was very controlled. Uh, but when I asked her about what did she hope would happen, then that's when she kind of lost it a little bit, saying, I want to find my baby. I won't give up on my baby. But so that's when she was most emotional, but she was not hysterical or defiant.
When I saw your story for the first time, it was around the time that Jake Haro was out it appeared with detectives in that field off of the highway. What type of communication do we know that she's had with her husband since they've been arrested?
Well, if the sheriff's department is doing their job, it's absolutely none. I mean, you cannot have two uh, suspects in a murder case or a suspicious disappearance case talking with each other. I would be uh, very surprised if they've had any communication since their arrest. I mean, it's possible that they've had indirect communication, but I very much doubt that Rebecca knew that Jake was out on that roadside while the sheriff's department looked for Emmanuel.
Because I know Jake has an attorney, and he did a few interviews. Is she still at this point? She doesn't have any representation.
She told me she had an interview. She didn't want to give me the attorney's name. She said she wanted to uh, ask some questions to the attorney before saying uh, who it was. I would imagine they would have separate attorneys. That's kind of usually what happens when you have two people um, like this. You might remember the Turpin case with the
Yep.
13 uh, children who had been abused and neglected, and they had separate attorneys.
Um, it's interesting you bring up kind of giving her the opportunity where, maybe was she the victim of domestic abuse in this house? Was Jake behind, this alleged murder now that they say of Emmanuel that I know that she's denying? I mean, what do we know about how their marriage was? Did she say like just what she feels about Jake?
When I asked her, does what is your relationship like? I mean, she came out right away and said it's a wonderful relationship. No hesitation. Looked right at me. Repeated a couple times that he's a really good dad. Uh, Repeated that he would not hurt a baby, although that's kind of a problematic statement because he has a conviction for willful child cruelty. According to Jake, uh, his statement to authorities at the time was that he was bathing a child and accidentally dropped her on the divider in a sink. But those were not injuries that would have, or that's not an event that would have caused the injuries that that little child was found to have. So, uh, and Jake at the time blamed his current wife. So, uh, yeah, I unless she's a great actress, Rebecca believes that they have a very good relationship, a
It's
safe
hard
one.
to it's hard to read body language, and I know this is kind of putting you on the spot in some ways, but like was there any part of her that seemed like credible that, in terms of the story that she's telling? Because it on the outside, it seems that everybody, I mean, even the sheriff's office says it's just not true.
Yeah, the I had a conversation with someone and another reporter, and he had actually had a conversation with a detective. And the detective asked this reporter, when you interviewed Rebecca right after the disappearance, and she was crying, was snot coming out of her nose? And the reporter's answer was no. And the detective said, well, in my experience, if a mom's child is missing and she's talking about it, snot is coming out of her nose. So I guess that's body language for you. She, she's never seemed hysterical.
Yeah. What does she say? Because, not only law enforcement, but I mean, this is a story that's national news now. And it seems like there is no one really, at least, if you take a poll from social media and, again, law enforcement, that no one believes that this was an abduction in the way that she says it went down. What does she say to that, where it doesn't seem that anybody is believing what she has to say?
She didn't really address that. It's Yeah, I mean, if you take a poll of the public in general, uh, yeah, nobody believes her. Whether that's fair or not, I don't know. When I'm talking to people about the case, the first thing they say to me is, how come she wasn't hysterical when she was talking to the media? But people react to things differently. Um, it's it's just hard to reconcile. I don't know how long if she was knocked out. I don't know how long she was unconscious, but whether it's for, a minute or 5 minutes or half an hour, it's hard to reconcile a woman being knocked out in a parking lot of a big shopping center and nobody notices it. And now we keep hearing, and again, these are things that we don't know are true or not. Extended family members had not seen Emmanuel for a long time. Uh, and so it's just it's it's hard to look at things and fall in line with her account of what happened. Well, I mean, where's the ransom note? Uh, and it's a guy supposedly who stole the baby. I've covered stories where people have stolen babies. They've gone into hospitals and tried to snatch babies out of the maternity wards, and it's always a woman that feels like she needs to have a baby. And now this story is supposedly it's a guy. It's just one of those little things that makes you wonder.
I know you've been doing some reporting as well on the search that's been going on, or perhaps lack thereof, just as law enforcement have, they believe that this is a murder case that they've been following. Do we know why Jake was out with detectives on the side of the highway the other day?
No, we don't. And people have made the have connected the dots. They've drawn conclusions that, oh, Jake confessed and he led the detectives out to this brushy roadside. But the sheriff's department has not said uh, whether that's the case. It's also possible that uh, the detectives, let's say, pinged his phone, triangulated the cell phone signals, and found that maybe he was out at that location in the middle of the night for an hour at some point. That's just speculation by me, but it's to me it's also equally plausible that they've done that type of thing, and uh, then just said, Jake, we're going out to the Badlands in Moreno Valley, and we want you to be out there while we look for Emmanuel. The sheriff's department uh, went to great lengths yesterday, in fact, to say that all they were doing was saying that he was present. They weren't saying why. And I asked them, and the spokeswoman didn't have an answer. She said she didn't know. So obviously detectives who do know didn't tell her.
Just talking about Jake and just thinking back to his 2018 arrest, and then in 2023 he's on probation currently related to that incident with the girl who was just 10 weeks old. And I know on the outside there's been some criticism of the deal that he was able to get. Do we know why? What went on in that case? Because also it happened in 2018, and then it seemed like the case wasn't closed until 2023, which, I mean, for 5 years, it seems like that's a long time for that to go on.
Yeah, I don't know why it took so long. I can tell you that was a plea to the judge and not done in consultation with the district attorney's office, as plea deals usually are. So the DA hasn't given us any information on the interaction between Jake and the judge. Very interesting background. We haven't published yet, but we probably will when the charges are filed. And this may or may not have anything to do with anything, but Jake and his first wife filed for bankruptcy during their time together. They had like $9,000 and they owed $107,000, and a lot of that was the first wife's student loans. I found a document that listed all the debts, and among them was like about $175 for baby pictures. So they couldn't or wouldn't pay that. There were a lot of collection agencies after them. Also, and there's a lot of misinformation out there from bloggers and vloggers and just anybody with a camera who's appointed themselves to cover the case. But sometimes they get some things right, and one of them was that uh, Jake has quite a number of uh, workers' comp claims that he put out. He had like 6 within about a 6 or 7 year span. He worked at Walmart and a few other places, uh, and it wasn't just Jake. There were probably about 4 other family members who have had workers' comp claims, and almost all the time it's from working at a Walmart or Home Depot or Amazon, and it just I had asked Rebecca what Jake's profession was, and she said, "What's a profession?" I thought that was odd, and I said, "Well, what does he do for money?" And she didn't really have an answer. So
Does she have
just
a job or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't know. She did have one workers' comp claim.
Hmm.
Uh, she even Jake's deceased brother, while he was alive, had at least one workers' comp claim. His stepfather had a workers' comp claim. Just I don't. I've asked the state whether that's unusual for one person to have 6 workers' comp claims in a several year period. I don't know what Jake did at Walmart or Amazon. I guess it's possible if you're working in the warehouse, things can happen. It just seems strange.
And just lastly, Brian, I mean, you've covered a lot of big time stories in Riverside County. You're talking about the Turpin case. This one, I mean, it seems that there's been so many twists and turns from when it first started to where we are today. And as it's still developing, I mean, just what has it been like to cover this story in Riverside County over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I was supposed to be off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that didn't quite happen. Uh, for one thing, it's not like I worked all day and night, but I worked a few hours Friday and Saturday, and then all day Sunday. And it's been exhausting because anybody with a camera has been quote covering this case, and that ranges from uh, the professional news media to freelancers who are legitimate, to just a guy down the street with a camera and a website. And there's been a lot of things that I've had to check out to see whether they're true or not. Someone said that someone broke into the Haro's home and was selling tours of the place. Checked with the sheriff's department. That turned out not to be true. Uh, Someone posted a video claiming that authorities had dug up Emmanuel's head. Jake's brother died 5 years ago, and people have all but convicted the Haros of that. but the fact was that he had died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, ethanol, and cocaine. And that's, again, according to the sheriff's department, not I heard. Someone put out a fake news release. It was not on any kind of official stationery or anything, but it was an image on Facebook, claiming to be from the sheriff's department, and it said that the sheriff's department had gotten video and copies of receipts from a Home Depot, and supposedly Jake and Rebecca had purchased lye, ropes, and a bucket. And it's scary because the people reading that take it at face value. They take it to be true. Very few people, it seems, check into these things. Do they go looking for, that information being published elsewhere? And people just assume things. A state recreation area put out a news release yesterday saying, no one searched for Emmanuel here. Yes, we are open. It's just it's just crazy. But that's the era we're in, where something that's sensational, really on the face of it, gets even more sensational because people dive into it and they want a piece of it.
Yeah, and it's been, I mean, it's exhausting. I mean, you're the one on the ground there, and it's just to even like you open Facebook and it's just one kind of person after another, and some seem legit, some don't, with their theories and then speculation. Yeah, it sounds exhausting, especially on your end, being the journalist who is actually hunting stuff down. One more actually before you go. I remember Rebecca in her interview said, like, why aren't people, something along the lines of like, why aren't people out there searching for him? Or I wish the sheriff's office was out searching for him. I remember before they were arrested, Jake's attorney said, why isn't the sheriff's office out searching? What have they said about that, as far as why we're not seeing, a search team out there in the way that you would for a missing persons case?
Well, I mean, the odds of a 7-month-old baby, being at a street corner or behind a bush, there's only so many places the baby could be. And at some point, I think you have to realize that if he was kidnapped, then he's probably in the custody of whoever took him, and would not likely be in the vicinity. And once you search as far as there's certainly the possibility that a kidnapper took the baby and then thought better of it and dumped them someplace. But at some point you run out of spots to reasonably search.
Well, Brian Rokos with Southern California News Group, a reporter there doing some fantastic work covering what is a really difficult and sad story now out of Riverside County. You can read his work at pressenterprise.com. Thank you for joining us on Law and Crime. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.